Before we continue with the rest of the video, we could use your help. Click the like button to help spread word about watchJojo animals, and also be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss our future videos. This dog was sat all alone outside Target. Then people looked closer at the sign around his neck. If the passerby had heard stories of abandoned dogs before, they probably made some assumptions when they first saw him. He looked so lonely sitting outside the store all by himself, after all. And was that a sign around his neck? If they had gotten close enough to read the message, however, they would have suddenly understood the situation. The dog with the sign was Jackson, who originally made the news and became a star of Altoona, Pennsylvania in 2011. Well, his story has resurfaced again, and it's just as amazing this time around. And if you were in Altoona in 2011, you may have caught sight of Jackson and initially felt sorry for him, especially with no owner in sight. Just as many people have previously, you may even have approached him to see whether he was okay. Furthermore, if you had gotten close enough, or if you had been particularly sharp-eyed, you probably saw the sign Jackson wore, and said sign may have made many animal lovers perturbed at first. After all, it's not unknown for dogs to be abandoned next to messages asking rescuers to find them homes. Thankfully though, any worries about Jackson were unjustified. That's because he does indeed have a home, and a very good one at that. But that wasn't always the case. Just a month after his media debut, Jackson was a sheltered dog. 3 years ago, Jackson was adopted by Steve Moore, however, and it was Moore who had put the sign around the dog's neck. But is the man a good or bad dog owner? Well, the message attached to Jackson reveals that, despite appearances, the Golden Retriever hasn't been neglected. That's because the words on the sign read, "Dad told me to wait here, me waiting." So anyone who stops to pet the adorable canine can be sure that he's not out by himself. And luckily for Jackson, the dog's patience has made him quite a few fans ever since Moore trained him. In fact, Jackson's become so popular that he was even the subject of a 2011 segment by WTAJ, and the Pennsylvania station's cameras revealed how Jackson garnered a lot of attention by sitting outside a Target store waiting for his daddy. What's more, the clip showed how surprised Moore was by the public's reaction to Jackson. Everybody wants to take him home. I just find that amazing, because 4 weeks ago, nobody wanted him, Moore told WTAJ. In fact, the dog's discipline has impressed several people walking by the pooch. "I wish my dogs were like you," one passerby remarks to Jackson in the news segment, adding, "You're being so good." Another person is captured on film saying that Jackson's dedication was incredible, which is a good description of it, and is even more impressive when you consider that the Golden Retriever learned his new trick in less than a month. Perhaps most remarkable of all, however, is the fact that Moore has no professional dog training experience. Indeed, Moore has instead attributed Jackson's excellent behaviour to pure hard work and trust, rather than any insider knowledge on his owner's part. And when Moore was asked by WTAJ if it really is possible to teach an old dog new tricks, he responded, "Oh, absolutely, you can train any dog." Moore added, "It's all about the attitude you have and what you're willing to offer to interest the dog." And as it turns out, the way to Jackson's heart is through his stomach. So Moore uses food as incentives. In particular, Jackson has a weakness for peanut butter, molasses, and blueberries. The result of this approach, moreover, is the excellent behaviour that Jackson displays, with extra treats coming his way for good conduct. Jackson was trained to ignore distractions, including food. Moore also taught the Golden Retriever to remain in place even if strangers tug at his leash. Furthermore, Jackson has been trained so well that he can sit near busy roads without any worry he might wander. And while that may sound dangerous, Moore is nevertheless confident in his dog's behaviour. "I wouldn't bring him out of here if I thought he'd run out in the traffic," Jackson's owner explained to WTAJ. And it's perhaps not surprising that Moore trusted in Jackson, considering the character traits that Golden Retrievers typically have. They're loyal and friendly dogs, for instance, as well as being highly intelligent. Such qualities, moreover, have made them a popular choice as assistance dogs for the blind and deaf. Plus, it's fair to say that Golden Retrievers' amiable natures have made them in demand as family pets. The breed is so common, in fact, that in 2016 it was named the third most popular type of dog in the US by the American Kennel Club. And fortunately, the clever canines are relatively simple to train too. As for how to train a golden retriever or indeed any other breed of dog, well, Moore has suggested that positive reinforcement is the key. That is, giving your pet a reward for doing something good, and your treat could be food, affection, or a toy, anything that will tell them that they have done well. Reward your dog for the same things, then and eventually the repetition will pay off. Naturally, though, it's also a bad idea to reward them when they have shown behaviour of which you disapprove. But rather than punishing a dog for that, show them the correct way to behave instead. Give them a toy to chew instead of your clothes, for instance. Still, regardless of the dog's breed, it takes patience, trust and hard work to train your pet. When it's done right, though, the results speak for themselves, and Jackson is a definite case in point. Plus, your dedication will be given back in spades from your dog. As Moore will testify, I just get a real feeling of satisfaction in working with a dog and bringing out his potential, Jackson's owner told WTAJ. And then, when he looks at you like that, oh boy. Please do not forget to share this video with your friends below.